what is it that people do when they do learning analytics. And probably the easiest way to handle this is in the sequence of the course. So, Dragan, I'll ask you, and then Ryan, and Carolyn talk about what are the things that you're going to be talking about or looking at in this course in terms of topics.
In the 2 weeks that I'm addressing, I'm going to talk about social network analysis. Social network analysis is one of these themes that's been probably most popular in the field of learning analytics, at least according to the proceedings and the papers that we had at the International Conference on Learning Analytics and Knowledge and in the Journal of Learning Analytics. Those are two new publications. I think that's quite natural because the general social learning and the importance of the social interactions and social context is widely acknowledged and recognized in education. There are many numerous different types of benefits on cognitive processing, on information internalization, on development of critical thinking skills, on student retention, etc., etc. But what makes it social network analysis quite appealing is that it's a mature field. There are many available mature tools, and you can quickly get access to some of those tools. As one of these activities that you will be engaging into will enable you to easily download all your Facebook connections to create your own social network, and so that you can easily visualize and analyze it, so that you can see whether you are central inside of your social network and who are the central individuals inside of your social network, regardless of whether we are going to deal with a course or not. The other thing that section of the course will help you to make some sense out of the probably mess that we currently have in social media happening around this even course. So we are going to offer you a data set which we collected from different social media, so that you can then import those data into the tools that we will be providing for social network analysis, and then you can also see what are the types of forces that are happening and driving discussions and conversations inside of the courses that are distributed like this one. Hopefully that will also help you, but also us as instructors, to guide us through the process of this entire course, and we have all quite successful joint journey. So looking forward to working with you on these topics.
In the 2 weeks I'll be talking about, I'll talk about one of what I think is one of the core methods also in educational data mining and learning analytics, which is prediction modeling. Prediction modeling is one of the ways that you can make inferences about something that you don't currently know. And sometimes that's making predictions about the future. Sometimes it's making predictions about the present. But basically, it's trying to identify something that you don't have data about in new data. The way we do that is we collect some data that's labeled training data to build a model, and then build a model and validate it so that it can work in new contexts when we don't know the answer. So in the first week, we'll learn to conduct prediction modeling effectively and appropriately. Obviously, can't cover the full topic, but get an introduction to it and understand some of the core uses of it in education. There will be an online activity where you'll learn to use the RapidMiner tool, which is one of my favorite tools for doing this. In the second week, we'll talk about how to validate and evaluate the models, an introduction to that, some key diagnostic metrics and what they're good and bad at, and the specific case of behavior detection, which is a popular use of learning analytics to try to make inferences about student behavior in real time, replicating human judgment. Human beings can recognize if a student is gaming the system or off task, and we'll be looking at how we can engineer data to be able to make similar predictions without a human being in the loop. So I look forward to working with you on this and to learning together.
Okay, my 2 weeks of the course really build very nicely on Ryan's 2 weeks. I'll be talking about a specific form of predictive modeling called text mining, where we take the same kinds of algorithms that are used for the behavior detection sort of work that Ryan does, but apply them to textual data. And in particular, I'm interested in discussion data, and so there will be a big focus on analysis of discussion and the role that that can play in research in online learning. And there will be a couple of research highlights where we'll actually talk about work in the field of learning sciences where text mining is being used, both for supporting research and understanding the experiences of learners, but also for triggering just-in-time interventions to support learning through discussion. But we'll learn how to use a tool called Lightside. It's an open source, freely downloadable toolkit for text mining that includes some tools for being able to do the feature engineering aspect of text mining, where you take the raw text and you represent it in ways that allow you to find meaningful patterns, and then use machine learning to do the predictive modeling. Lightside has support for the whole process of doing text mining. In the short 2 weeks that we'll have together, we won't be able to get through all of the functionality that it offers, but we'll step through as much as can really be done in 2 weeks, and with lots of pointers to next steps that you might be able to take. And Lightside comes with some data sets that you'll be able to play with. A running theme throughout the data-oriented exercises will be measurement of attitude through text. And we'll talk about how you can look at that in the context of discussion forums and also other kinds of textual data.
Great. Well, thanks very much, again, Carolyn, for that overview. So, a final 2 minutes that we have left. One of the questions I've seen come up in the forum several times and might be worth briefly raising here is, you have to be a statistician? Do you have to be a computer programmer? Do you have to be a math whiz? What are your prerequisites for the sections that you're looking at?
Social network analysis doesn't really require any sophisticated knowledge of statistics at all. All you need to do is basically to be familiar with some of the social interactions. I think we are all familiar with social interactions. That's the first thing. The second thing is that in terms of the tools, you will be introduced into Gephi, but that Gephi is really a tool as usable as you will find that Tableau is usable. Therefore, nothing sophisticated there that you need to have any prior knowledge about that. The concept of social networks is also, I think, very intuitive. Basically, any link you are talking to somebody else is creating a relation between two individuals, and we are representing those as graphs and nodes. So from that perspective, you don't have to have much of prior knowledge at all. And we are also providing data sets. Of course, for those who know a bit more and have some deeper background knowledge, they can, for example, create on their data sets by using programming, but you don't have to do that at all. We'll have already pre-processed and prepared data sets for you. Also, for some of you who have very sophisticated knowledge of statistics, you will be able to analyze some of these data with the stats you love to do. In this course, you don't have to do. We'll also provide you opportunity to connect even knowledge that you will gain in the first sessions with Tableau, so that you visualize some of these social networks analysis in Tableau. Therefore, the assumption about social network analysis that you are coming without any prior knowledge about social network analysis, statistics, or computer programming. It's really intended to facilitate very wide scope of learners so that they can come without much technical skills, yet opportunities for those who know more and who would like to learn much more.
Similar situation to Dragan. If you have a background in stats or computer science, you will be able to do some things beyond the scope of these 2 weeks, but these 2 weeks are designed to be accessible to people who don't have a background in stats, don't have a background in data mining. RapidMiner is a good tool. It's relatively easy to use. It's pretty powerful for a tool that's that easy to use. You can't do everything in it, but you can do a lot of things in it without programming.
What I'd like to say is, I'd like to encourage you to think of stats as your friend. I think that, a lot of people in college, they either loved stats or they hated stats, and if they hated stats, then they just don't want to have anything to do with it. But this might be the course that actually convinces you that stats can be really cool, it can be really fun, and I encourage you to reach out to your fellow students, and if there are things that you feel like maybe you don't quite understand the foundation for, if only you kind of understood a little bit more about the stats, strike up that conversation and start to follow up on some of the follow-up readings. And honestly, I don't believe in mental blocks or whatever. You're all capable of learning a little bit more, and this is your opportunity to stretch yourself. So don't put yourself down, don't sell yourself short, dive in, have the fun. And in my unit, what I've tried to do is really sprinkle pointers to ways that you can get deeper into the content if you want to. And so you can definitely do everything that's a standard part of my 2-week unit with no prior knowledge of stats. But I have included pointers to books that you might read that I think are excellent in terms of taking a couple of steps beyond. And so, yeah, I just encourage you, dive in and have confidence in yourself. You can do it.